up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative, a channel where I have all sorts of bookish related fun, usually in the science fiction, fantasy, or horror genres. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. But if you're someone who's been around a while, welcome back. I like to post Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, so if you missed Monday's video, I did my weekly reading wrap up. I'll chunk a link to that sucker up in the cards for you if you'd like to check that out. But today I am going to do How Do You Read a Book tag, an original tag created by Julie over at the Hungry Bookworm channel. I'll have her original video and channel linked below. Definitely give Julie a look. She has a lovely channel. She is really fun to watch, so please check her out and tell her I sent you. So before I get into this tag where we talk about how I read a book, first things first, before we get into how I read a book, we need to get into some reading essentials. I'll read anytime. My favorite part of the day is in the afternoon when I can read downstairs with tons of natural lighting. For some reason, I love to read in natural lighting, and my living room gets a ton of it in the afternoon. No matter what, around 2:30 in the day, I'm gonna put down everything I'm doing. I'm gonna make me my afternoon cup of coffee. I'm gonna curl up on the couch with a book and read for an hour or so. But next up, I gotta have a blanket. I'm inherently cold nature. My body temp likes to sit around 96.3, so I'm usually always cold. I have a blanket in every room of the house. You gotta get snugged up in your blanket just right. Gotta make sure you're tucked in, get those feet tucked in. You can't have any holes for any, for any cold drafts to sneak up in. That'll disturb your reading. Next up, you need to have a furry friend. They come in handy. On a particularly drafty day, they provide a little extra warmth. If you're reading a scary book, they provide comfort and security. But most importantly, they give you something cute to look at while you're thinking about what you just read. A vital part of my reading process is my notebook. I am an old-fashioned girl. I prefer pen and paper. I get so much satisfaction in hearing my pen scratching out a note. I love when I'm particularly feeling strongly about what I'm writing. I will circle it and underline it. I mean, physically writing allows you to put emphasis on your thought. Get it out. Writing notes physically helps me retain what I read. If I thought it was important to put my book down to write it down, I want to make sure I remember it. The importance of an excellent pillow is paramount. You want one that's fluffy, has a lot of give to it, and can take multiple shapes. The first way you want to use that pillow is simply flat. Lay that big chunker and let the pillow do the work. Next up, you want to get up close, see what's happening. You need to have your nose in that sucker. You can bring your knees up. Beat that sucker in place, make a little shelf. Boom, you're set, baby. And that'll wrap up my reading essentials. Those are the things that, if there's a choice in the matter, I'm going to have when I sit down to read. The reading essentials are out of the way. When I have those things, I am in the reading mood. I am ready to tap into the tone. Let's get into Hungry Bookworm's tag questions. The first one is, how do you go into reading a book? Do you go in blind? Do you read reviews, research, ask friends, read the back cover? So if I'm reading a horror story, I do like to go in blind. Just knowing it's a horror book amps up the excitement level. Knowing that something's coming but not knowing what just adds to that level. And while I'm a huge fraidy cat, I am addicted to the thrill. I do it to myself. I have such an overactive imagination that it just really adds to the thrill of the story, and it just makes it that much better. In fact, I'm probably a horrible person to listen to horror recommendations. I myself make so much more out of it than it might possibly be. So, in that regard, I'm gonna just direct you over to Brad Proctor's channel. I guess really it just depends on how I am first exposed to a book. I make the bulk of my purchases from watching BookTube. I'm subscribed to, I want to say about 160 booktubers right now. I am not gonna lie. I will pick up a book for its cover alone, not even care about the back of it. I mean, there's been several authors who have emailed me and said, I have this book I think you would be interested in. Here's a link to it. And I'll be honest with you, I went to the link, I saw the cover art, and I said yes without even bothering to read the description. And I must have good taste because I've not been disappointed in a single book that I bought for the cover alone yet. I don't usually actively research a book, and then sometimes if I'm just browsing in a bookstore and I see a cover, sometimes the cover and the title isn't enough to make me take notice, and I'll read the back of the book. Unfortunately, the book descriptions on the back are not usually very good. They're more oftentimes than not, if I read the back of the book and I read the book, like that, the two almost seem to have nothing in common. So in my experience, I just ignore the back of the book because it fails me most of the time. Definitely say the majority of the time I go into reading a book because I saw someone mention it on BookTube. I'm looking at you, Kayla. Question number 2. Do you take a book at its face value? Yes. I read 100% for personal enjoyment and or escapism. Books provided a safe outlet for me growing up. I had an extremely terrible first 17 years of my life, and I spent every second that I could lost in a book. I really try not to go into a book with expectations. And with that being said, there are authors that I do love. They're insta-buys, so I do have a few expectations going into it. I'm expecting to enjoy the newest release as much as I did their previous works. And occasionally I have been disappointed. So I try not to do that. I try to not go into it expecting anything other than having a good time. If the author crafts the novel and the world and the characters in such a way, as long as there's one element that sucks me in and keeps my interest, in my opinion, the job has been done. Because I go look at it that way, the author almost 99% of the time succeeds. And I'm one of those people that I feel like I love every book I've ever read. Maybe I'm just easy to please. I don't know. Question number 3. Do you read the book as the author intended, or do you analyze it? And that kind of ties into question number 2. I 100% read it as the author intended. I am not a big analyzer. I have recently sort of kind of found myself getting a little more analytical in my thinking while I'm reading a book. And I blame the Codex Cantina channel for that. But it's not a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. It's helped me slow down in my reading and take more notice of what's happening around me in the story. So I'm able to pick up the breadcrumbs of the larger story that the author's laying out for me, if that makes sense. So I'm not analyzing it so much that it's just completely, parceling the story out, but I'm analyzing as far as really trying to take notice of what I'm reading, making sure that I understand what I'm reading, and rather than just skipping over it and just like, maybe that's just a throwaway, and it turns out it was a very clear indicator of something that was coming later. I mean, I don't think I could have gotten any more confusing in that answer, but that's my thought process, y'all. I can't. Question number 4. As a book lover, reader, reviewer, do you read a book differently knowing you are going to review it? Do you venture into other genres for a review? And has your taste changed watching other channels? I don't do a single thing different knowing I'm going to review a book. The direction I'm thinking of taking the channel, I'm not going to plan out a review. I'm going to review ones that stand out to me. Ones that I have a lot to say about and I think you should hear it kind of thing. So I'm not going to review every single book I read. I'm going to do the really special ones, the ones that I want people to hear about. Kind of like The Faithful and the Fallen. It was a series that not a lot of people were talking about, but it's damn good work and people should talk about it. I am so happy that so many of my friends are reading it and enjoying it. Because to me, there is no better feeling in the world to read a book or a series, love it, and other people whose opinions you respect read it and feel the same way. So 100%, yes, my taste has changed from watching other channels, and I absolutely couldn't be happier for it. I think my next genre I want to start getting my toes wet in is mystery, and you know, maybe I'll be willing to try a romance or two. And those will wrap up all the questions for the How Do You Read a Book tag that was once again created by Julie over at Hungry Bookworm. Don't forget to check out the description box below. I have all the channels linked that I talked about today. I would love for you to go check them out, leave them a comment, tell them that I sent you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that thumbs up button. I would love to hear from you guys. How do you read a book? Would you be willing to try another genre? Hit me up either in the comments below or click the link in the description to visit me over on Discord and chat with the whole Nerdy Narrative family. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I love you guys. I'm so glad you came by. I'll see you soon.